Welcome, math students. We're here for another video lecture. Thanks for your patience this afternoon. I know it took a while to get up. So as you can see, here we're learning how we add or subtract fractions. Again, one of the more complex skills, actually. Multiplying and dividing fractions, I believe you'll find, are easier than the skills for adding and subtracting. My goal is to try and simplify it for you, so I'm going to pause here and let you copy down our objectives, our notes, and our essential question. Okay, welcome back. So we're learning how we add or subtract fractions. As you can see, that showed up 3 times on the same screen. And I'm going to jump 2 screens ahead so that you can get all the steps down for how to add or subtract any fraction. And again, when I show you this math problem, I want you to really recognize how I'm setting the math problem up, because I'll show you how this will help you in your future on rational expressions, and that it's not just a skill that's going to stop now. So pause here and go ahead and copy this down. Excellent. Okay, welcome back. So first step, notice this is the same step as multiplying and dividing. We're changing our fractions from normal fractions or mixed numbers into improper fractions. So -3/10 is not going to change, but plus 5 3/4 is going to be 5 times 4 plus 3 is 23/4. Okay, step 1. Step 2, we have to change the fractions so they have the same denominator. That means that if we counted by tens and we counted by fours, we're trying to find the number that we would run into in both of those counts that's the smallest. And the mathematical term for that is the least common multiple. And in here, we're going to call it the least common denominator. So again, that happens when you count by tens, you count by fours. What number do you run into that they both have in their sequence first? Yeah, it's 20. Okay, so we're going to change both of these denominators into a 20. And we're going to have to change the left into an equivalent fraction that has a denominator of 10, or sorry, a denominator of 20. What times 10 makes 20? Yeah, it's 2. And if we place a 2 in the bottom of this equivalent fraction math, we have to be fair and also write a 2 on the numerator. What is 2 times -3? Yeah, it's -6. Okay, now we have to change the right fraction. What times 4 would make a 20? Yeah, it's a 5. And we also still have to be fair when creating this equivalent fraction. If we multiply the denominator by 5, you have to multiply the numerator by 5 also. I have not memorized my multiples of 23, so I'm going to show my math on the side just to make sure I get it correct. 115. Excellent. Okay, now I'm just going to move this to the other side of our page here. It's the same thing. So now that we have common denominators, we can combine like with like. So when we combine these two things, the numerators are what is being combined. The denominator doesn't change. So the denominator stays the 20. -6 plus 15, same or different signs. The adding and subtracting rules of integers are going to be applied on rational numbers as well. We're just going to use it on their numerators. So since these numerators are different signs, we should subtract their absolute values. And we should keep the sign of the larger absolute value. 115 has a larger absolute value. And now we have to just make sure that 109 and 20 are simplified. They need to be in simplest form. I can't think of any numbers that go into 109 and 20. Okay, so our answer is 109 over 20. You could also show this as a mixed number. How many times does 20 fit inside of 109? Yeah, it's 5 times. And how much is left over after we do that? 9. So the answer is 109 over 20, or 5 9/20. I prefer the improper fraction, but I like to have you prepared just in case Alex wants to get you the mixed number. So moving on, can you pause here and copy this problem down? Okay, welcome back. So we have Gavin finishing some math homework, and we're going to mark up our text as we should. So Gavin finished his English assignment in 1 1/5 hours. Then he completed his chemistry assignment in 2 1/3 hours. The question is asking what was the total amount of time? So based on how the words have shown up in this problem, should we be adding or subtracting? Yeah, you're right, it's addition. And we're going to create it from left to right. So 1/5 came first. We're totaling, that's going to be adding. And 2/3 came second. And now we have to get our common denominators. What number can 3 and 5 both be when counting by them? You're right, it's 15. So what times 5 makes 15? 3. We got to be fair, do that to the top. 3 times 1 is 3. Remember, 3/15 is the same as 1/5. It just looks different. Those are equivalent fractions. 3 has to be multiplied by 5. We have to be fair and do that to the top. And now that we have common denominators, they are like each other, and like can be added to like. Combine their numerators, and we get 13/15. I should write my units as well. So, this question, we should probably end with a worded sentence. And we just want to restate what the question says. So, the total time for assignments was 13/15 hours. That's the answer. Awesome job. Moving on to the next slide here. These all look pretty similar. So I'm going to show you number 1, and then we'll do 2, 3, and 4 in class together. Likely not tomorrow, but Friday. So on number 1, I'm going to show you that even if they have common denominators, I'm not going to change my skill. So what can I get 10 and 10 both to be? Guess what? You're right. It's a 10. All right, what times 10 becomes 10? 1. Right. But what I'm modeling here, I know this looks like a waste of time, but I'm trying to teach you that skills don't change. What's 1 times 7? 7. Nice. And we're multiplying this by 1/1, and we get a 5. 7 take away 5. I feel like I should write that. What's the opposite of 5/10? It's -5/10. And I'm going to change my minus to a plus first. That looks like something I can figure out. What's 7 added to -5? That gets us 2/10. And clearly we're done. Nah, you're right. That's not simplest form. What number do 2 and 10 have in common? 2. So the answer is 1/5 for problem 1. As you can tell, I didn't leave enough space for that. Okay, so we're going to do 2, 3, and 4 together in class. Going one more slide forward, so leave space for those problems. And let's do number 6. I'm going to have you pause here and copy that down. Okay, so let's mark up our text again here. We got 3 3/5 gallons on Saturday and 2 1/4 gallons on Sunday. And the question's asking, how many more? How many more? That's asking me to find the difference between these. So we should translate this from left to right around a subtraction sign. So we write 3 3/5 minus 2 1/4. And that should tell us the difference, or how many more gallons we had on Saturday than on Sunday. I'm going to have you solve this problem on your own in class. That's the end of our lecture, class. I know, they get shorter sometimes. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you coming up soon.